The story of Lord Buddha and the school Kanya. Once upon a time in ancient India, there was a village not far from the city of Kapilavastu, where the young Buddha had lived before he attained enlightenment. In this village, there was a school where children were taught the ways of life, both worldly and spiritual. Among these students was a young girl, Kanya, known for her intelligence and curiosity. Kanya had heard of the Buddha and his wisdom, and she was deeply moved by the stories of his enlightenment. One day, she decided to visit him, hoping to learn from him directly. She had many questions about the nature of suffering, the path to peace, and how she could live a life of compassion and wisdom. The villagers told her that the Buddha was residing in a beautiful grove of trees outside the city, and so she set off to find him. After a long walk, she arrived at the peaceful grove where Buddha was seated under a tree, surrounded by his disciples. With great respect, Kanya approached him and offered a simple bow. "Lord Buddha," she said, "I have heard much about your teachings, and I wish to understand more. I am just a young girl who goes to school, but my heart is filled with questions. Can you help me find answers?" The Buddha, seeing her sincerity, smiled gently and motioned for her to sit beside him. "Tell me, Kanya, what is it that troubles your heart?" Kanya hesitated for a moment, then spoke softly. "In my school, we are taught many things: how to read and write, how to count, and how to live well. But sometimes I feel that there is something more that I don't understand. Why is there so much pain and suffering in the world, and how can I find peace?" The Buddha listened patiently, his eyes filled with compassion. "Kanya, you have already begun to understand the first step toward wisdom, the question. The question itself shows that your heart is open, and that is the beginning of all understanding." He then explained in simple terms so that even a child could grasp the Four Noble Truths, the essence of his teachings. He told her that life is filled with suffering, caused by our desires and attachments, but there is a way out of this suffering through the path of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline, known as the Eightfold Path. Kanya, who had always felt a deep longing for truth, listened intently. She asked many questions, and the Buddha answered each with kindness and clarity. By the end of their conversation, Kanya's heart was filled with a sense of peace she had never known before. "Lord Buddha," she said, "I now understand that peace is not something that can be found outside of us, but within. It is in how we live, how we act, and how we think. I will try to practice these teachings in my life and share them with others." The Buddha smiled, pleased with her understanding. "Remember, Kanya, it is not the knowledge alone that brings peace, but the practice of wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness. Even in the smallest moments, you can cultivate these qualities and bring light to the world." Kanya bowed deeply to the Buddha and thanked him for his guidance. She returned to her school, her heart full of wisdom and compassion. From that day on, she became known as a bright light in her village, always sharing what she had learned with others, and living a life of kindness and understanding. And so, the story of the Buddha and the schoolgirl Kanya became a legend in the village, reminding everyone that wisdom is not just for monks or scholars, but for all, regardless of age, background, or status. It is the practice of understanding and compassion that leads to true peace.